Hey, welcome back. Time for my favorite segment on the show on Mondays. No offense to the Korean co-sell, Steve Kim. You guys know I love Steve Kim. He's awesome. He's great. He's funny. He's smart. He's clever. But man, Jason Brown is bold, and he just adds a little spiciness and salty and just I don't know, man. I just love Jason Brown's takes on the NFL, and this week he should be in his bag because Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray had some interesting plays and outcomes on Sunday. Jason Brown, welcome back to the show. You guys know him from Last Chance U. I call him Last Chance Q. Last Chance Q. What happened to Lamar Jackson on Sunday? Did he make a mistake delaying signing a contract? Is this potentially going to blow up in his face?
I mean, I hate to say I told you so, but yeah, I mean, anytime you bet on yourself, it's a risk. I admire the guy for doing it. I understand why he's doing it. I don't agree with it just because of the state of the union, man. Like where we're at in today. Shoot, if I was his people in his circle, I'd be like, boy, you understand there's some inflation going on around here, Lamar? You better get this, you better figure this out, man. You better take that bread while you can. That is what I would be telling them. But too often these cats they have the wrong circle and hanging around them. And they got a lot of hang around yes men, boys. And what I call them is fake ass good boys, to be honest with you. They tell you everything you want to hear in your face, stab you in the back later on when times get tough. And that's what a lot of these players hang around with. That's their circles. And nobody tells them the real. Like I want guys around me that says, JB, you're full of it. You're lying to yourself. Like that is what I want. So I can at least debate myself and say, all right, maybe this dude's right. These cats don't have it no more. They don't have anyone in their circle. And I think his mom, who's only going to, whisper sweet nothings to you, it is a prime example of who's in his circle right now as far as making financial decisions for his life. So yeah, I do think it's a mistake to answer your question, and we all said that before. I think he should have took that money, and then you earn it as you go, and you get a bigger bag later on, man. But take this first bag.
So they lose to the Giants. His last two possessions. He throws a really bad interception. And then, to use your words, he dropped the baton on his final possession. He gets strip sacked. It's just they're 3-3. I think maybe the first 2 weeks, Lamar looked really good or was putting up good numbers. But ever since then, it's been a pattern of inconsistent, sometimes occasionally erratic play. What did you see on Sunday?
I saw Lamar being Lamar, man. This is what I know Lamar to be. This is what I know he cannot get out from underneath. This is what he is. I mean, you're up 3 points right here, Jason. You're up 3 right here. People don't realize how bad of a football play this one is right there. They're up 3 points. People act like they're down 3 points. You're up in an NFL football game by 3 points. And I haven't heard not one person on ESPN, on any of these big-time platforms discuss the fact that you were up 3 points and you threw that ill-advised, horrible throw. Not only is it just mechanically horribly flawed, but the mistake in the mental capacity of it is just a thing you cannot do and expect to get the bag and expect to be an elite quarterback, which everyone thinks on Twitter that he is. He's not an elite quarterback. He's an elite athlete. And I had Noel Mazzoni on my show last Friday, been an NFL OC, been a college OC, Coach Phillip Rivers, you name it. Josh Rosen, he's been at Arizona, UCLA, everywhere. And he's like, the thing people get mistaken is this. There's athletes that play quarterback, and then there's quarterbacks that are athletes. There is a huge misnomer going on around here. Like, Lamar is an athlete playing quarterback. He's not a quarterback that is athletic. And that's what I don't think we understand quite out there in the Twitterverse. We don't understand that. And we just see what we see because he's a freak and he runs 8 times a game and he takes the ball 80 yards on occasion. And everyone thinks, well, that's what we want our running backs to do. And I've been telling everyone, man, I hate to say it, like we have, beating a dead horse here about they think I'm hating. It's not hate. It's not slander. It's not hate. I wish I could coach the kid. I would love to try to coach him. But he just continues to decline year in and year out mechanically. And at the end of the day, Jason, mechanics is the thing that you cannot fail you. Your brain and your feet have to be able to excel and without thinking about it. And Lamar thinks too much because his mechanics are so bad that they fail him all the time.
So let's say that it continues down this path and the Baltimore Ravens are a 9-8 football team at the end of this year, and Lamar has a so-so season. What would your prediction be that the Ravens will do contractually with Lamar? Any chance that they would move on, or if it continues down this path and they just have a mediocre season and Lamar is just okay, what do you think Baltimore does?
So I'm going to tell you right on your show right now, they're going to be mediocre if a playoff team, because Cincinnati's going to come out of that division, and I think the Browns are an absolute fire show. I don't believe that's going to be bad. I don't think Deshaun Watson even plays it down this year, and I don't know if he'll ever play again, like I predicted on my show before the season. More and more stuff keeps coming out. I just don't see how the NFL can get away with playing him, the black guy they're going to take. So I think Cincinnati comes out of there. The Ravens will end up looking on the outside looking in as a wild card, and I don't even know if they make that. I don't think they even get in. And that is what's going to happen. I just can see a football team that I know that is either going to transcend and be great or decline and be average. They're a declining football team because of the quarterback receiver core. Their defense has holes now. Their secondary is very, very bad. This team looks like the Rams, and to be honest with you, it's a Ram team that's front-loaded roster-wise, no depth whatsoever, bad skill from quarterback to receiver. And if you're going to depend on Lamar Jackson holding the baton like we've eloquently put it, and in 10 personnel, doubles, two wideouts on each side for the layman's term out there, and him dropping back and dissecting coverage and making plays with his arm. If that's what you think this football team is, you don't know football, and you're not going to be very, very happy Ravens fans. And I'm just being honest. This is not the offense.
What do the Ravens do? What do the Ravens do then in the offseason?
I think it's a complete blow up. I think you fire Harbaugh. I think you fire the OC. Because the head coach goes, everyone goes. I think Harbaugh is at blame here because the management has allowed him to do so much with that roster and bank on Lamar Jackson. And what we don't know is is Harbaugh in bed with ownership? If he is, maybe he stays. He fires everybody else. They re-up the whole roster, blow this thing up. I just don't see them continuing down this path. Jason, you know football. Does this team look like a Super Bowl contending team ever? No, it's not even close. And
what do they do with Lamar? You say blow it up. Does that mean they move on from Lamar? That's your prediction?
Got to. You got to. You're not going to get any receivers in there. Like, who's going to go play there, Jason? Like, what receiver do you know out there right now who is an A-list number one? Who's going to go to Baltimore? Just be honest. Just tell me a receiver that wants to go there right now and play for him. I mean, it sucks. It sounds horrible. But let's be honest. They're chasing money. They're not chasing no rings or sacrificing like a Tom Brady. They're not sacrificing for their brothers and their team. They want the money. To get the money, you have to have stats. To get the stats, you got to get the ball. This guy cannot get you the ball. So what number one is
the fallout from moving on from Lamar, they'll call Steve Bisciotti, the owner, the Grand Wizard of the KKK. They'll call John Harbaugh, and that's why the only way to move on from Lamar would be to fire the head coach as well and to blame everybody. John Harbaugh would not survive if he, because you're talking about it's in Baltimore, the whole East Coast media, they're all going to get called racist.
Who's the GM though?
It ain't Ozzie. Who is it? It's not Ozzie Newsome.
Isn't Ozzie still affecting that call?
No, it's not Ozzie Newsome. No, he retired.
I know he's direct GM, but isn't he still an analyst to the GM or whatever?
No, Ozzie's moved on.
All right, well, I don't know then because
Eric DaCosta is the general manager. White guy.
Yeah. Either way, man, I think Ozzie moved on for a couple reasons too. Art Perkins, a good friend of mine, coached me and been with the Ravens for a long time underneath Ozzie Newsome before he left. There's a reason Ozzie left too. He knows this isn't an NFL Super Bowl winning roster. This is not conducive to winning football games in the NFL. This style of triple option, RPO, run around back here, make plays with your feet can only last so long, Jason. I mean, the defensive coordinators, by the way, who just stymied them once again in the second half?
Wink Martindale. Wink Martindale.
Where was he at before?
Yeah, Baltimore, yeah.
I mean, you would think he knows some things about how to pin him in up the field, keep him in the pocket, make him throw from the pocket. Exactly what he did late in the game. They started spying him with the Mike backer, and they started giving him fits. And when you start doing that and making him a pocket guy, that's why you lose in the playoffs. That's why Lamar hasn't had success in the playoffs. You can do all this stuff early on in the season. Once they get film on you, Jason, as you know, film starts to circulate throughout the NFL lockers, and the defensive coordinators grab that tape, and now we get to work, and we start dissecting Lamar week in, week out. So when we play him week 8, 9, 10, 11, he starts to go down worse and worse and worse. And the same with the Kyler Murrays, the same with the Justin Fields. It's unfortunate that everyone's like, oh, it's only the black quarterbacks. Not really. Carson Wentz and Baker Mayfield are absolutely atrocious, and they get worse as the season goes along too. And nobody wants to talk about that. Oh, you only hate on Lamar. Not really. I hate on Wentz and Baker Mayfield. Way worse, if you want to call it hate.
Oh, let me move you on to Arizona. They scored 9 points. They paid Kyler Murray $46 million a year. Should they just fire Cliff Kingsbury right now, or there's maybe no one else to coach Kyler Murray other than Cliff Kingsbury, the guy who wanted him come hell or high water? Should they fire Cliff Kingsbury now?
I mean, at this point, it looks like Kyler Murray's trying to get him fired, doesn't it? Like they're beefing now on the sideline. He's starting to look like he has no type of appreciation for Kingsbury going after him in the draft. It looks like he forgot all about that. And it looks like he's trying to get this guy fired. I didn't think Kingsbury would ever make it this long. They've given him a hell of an NFL roster. He has only declined year in, year out. They have been injury prone, but that's just, again, that comes to an evaluation process of the NFL. You got to be a good evaluator of talent. And Jason, we have 460 NFL injuries right now, all-time high. We had 34 guys get hurt yesterday in one day. 34 guys went out of the game yesterday, all-time high. Why? I can talk about that for 6 hours. I did it on my show this morning. I talked about all the reasons, but this team is injury prone. Kyler Murray just has no investment whatsoever. You guys screwed up. The Cardinals screwed up by paying the guy. I would have never paid him, like I've been saying it for 2 years. And I knew the day was going to come. He's going to set the marketplace. And he's a guy that's half invested. Like, he's not invested in this thing. It's clear. It's clear. He can't even make a check at the line of scrimmage, man. I've never seen the dude call out a protection. I've never seen him walk into the line of scrimmage. I have never seen Lamar Jackson do it either and say, 50, 56, 56, ID the mic. O-line, you got him, I got him and him. I've never seen this. This is quarterback 101. I have yet to see Kyler, Lamar, Justin Fields, anybody control the line of scrimmage from the quarterback position, but yet we're paying them $200 million. That sounds very, very ignorant to me by a bunch of rich billionaires who are supposed to be smarter than us. So I don't understand it. I can't fathom it. Kingsbury will be the sacrificial lamb, of course. And Kyler Murray, like all players do, they outlive the coach in this profession because they make more money. And this is a recyclable business, man. And it'll be a new coach in there.
Quickly, tell me your theory on the injury situation. That sounds kind of interesting. I think it's because they just don't practice enough and don't have enough contact practices. It doesn't surprise me that guys are breaking down.
I don't believe that at all, man. I believe that they are not invested. I believe they rather play video games, go to Dubai, be on their cell phone, go on social media. Their bodies, Jason, if you look around the league and look at our body types, if you see the Bosa's and the J.J. Watts, so there's twofold here. It's an investment as a professional, A, and it is a lack of understanding biomechanics as far as these training regimens that are happening with these half-ass trainers in the offseason. So it's a social media like and clout chase on the social media side. Let's go take these pills, this powder. They're going to sponsor me. I'm going to drink the hell out of this stuff, not knowing that you need 10 times the amount of water for every single pill and every single scoop of powder you ingest. You need 10 times the water. These guys' muscles, which I've done studies on, are literally contracting, especially these stiff pass rushing defensive guys, the Bosa's, the Watts, all these different guys, they're getting hamstrings, AC joint injuries, rotator cuff injuries. And that's the half of the part as far as the biomechanics side. They're not training like they used to. We used to do dynamic stretch, dynamic warm-ups, football lifts, bench, power clean. Let's do those lifts during the season 3 times a week. They're not doing none of that no more. Secondly, the investment as a professional. We rather go do all this other stuff now instead of being prepared. Every day is an interview, understanding every single day is an interview. I don't know what's going to happen any day that could come up. I could be called. My name could get called. Not only are we not approaching this profession in that manner, we are getting paid before we earn it. So what is it going to do, Jason? If I gave you $200 million today, Jason, and said, here you go, man. I'll see you in the summer. Hopefully you're ready to go, right? Man, they're in Dubai. They haven't even earned it. You don't think they're going to go splurge and chill out? They don't have the same buy-in as we once had because the money was lower back in our day. We had to earn that money and keep that money because we wouldn't get another contract. These guys got generational wealth in one contract, Jason. Think how hard that is on a 23-year-old that had nothing in his life. Imagine that now. So that's what dealing with these kids every day of my life, that is the number one reason that I see that nobody else will talk about, the investment. Look at the bodies, Jason. Go around and look at the bodies in the NFL compared to our era. The DBs nowadays look like high school kids. They're not ripped and chiseled and yoked out like we once were. These running backs and wide receivers.
I was never.
Julio Jones. You got a Julio Jones. You got a AJ Brown. You got who else you got? Give me another couple wideouts that are really, really T.O., Chad, Steve Smith looking bodies. There ain't no. Look at the kid at the Eagles, man. This dude looks like an anorexic little kid. And you wonder why we have AC joints, rotator tears. And Jason, remind you, this is in an era where you can't even get hit anymore across the middle. And we're more injured than ever before. We have no investment in our bodies like we once did. This ain't serious no more. These cats could care less. That's my take on it. That's what I really believe. The other side is training. And I mean, that's not that I believe it, Jason. I would bet my house that is the number one reason why. And I know it for being with these kids. I know it is. I've seen kids laugh at me about it because they know that's what they're doing. So I'm just telling you, it is a real thing. It is an epidemic in football right now. The investment in the sport, the willing to go see who
I agree
my
with that investment part. I think you can even see it in Tom Brady. You know, this dude's flying off to a wedding on Friday, skipping the walkthrough on Saturday. If it's affected the guy at the top, it's got to affect the people down all the way through.
Let me ask you about the Tom Brady 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I talked about it this morning on my show. Isn't this exactly what we just bashed Russell Wilson for, and what we bashed these other folks for? Like Russell Wilson got bashed for flying on his own, and now Kraft is doing this. He's over. Brady's with Kraft, and you know he's got 1 foot in, 1 foot out in investment, and it's like, well, we just bashed some of these people for the same reason as but why not Tom Brady? Why doesn't he get this? I'm confused on that.
I certainly bashed him today.
Urban Meyer flew by himself, remember? On the whole bar.
Yeah.
That was a huge story. Right now, Tom Brady, nobody even knew he flew a PJ to the game, and then he started yelling at his O-line, Jason. So
that's what we talked about today, JB, before you. Yeah. Let me move on to something. You love to say you're always right, you're always right, you're always right. Well, I got one you're wrong on, and you better be ready to admit it. Dak Prescott, the Cowboys need Dak Prescott back as their starting quarterback. Last night proved it. They let Rush cook, and Rush got cooked. It's the perfect time for Dak to be coming back. Agree or disagree?
See, right now, Jason, you don't sound like you played football. You sound like you watch football like everybody on Twitter with that statement. So I got to be honest.
The man threw 3 interceptions, JB. Stop it.
All right.
They're better off with Dak.
Let me defend it. All right. I'm not saying we already said Dak was the much better talent. We know that. We know Dak's the better talent. And he's getting paid, so we know he's going to come back eventually. So my point is, though, I don't believe Dak would have done anything different in that game last night. I think the Eagles are the best team in football. I think they have the best defense in football, and they were going to make any quarterback struggle last night. So I want to be fair to Cooper Rush, who went 5-0, 4-0 this year, to all the same people on Twitter who were anointing him as the guy in Dallas the last 4 weeks are the same bottom feeders now today bashing the man. And we are so quick to be cowardice on Twitter to come out. And I've actually read some of the same people that I saw saying, trade Dak now, trade Dak now, keep Cooper Rush. Last night, though, just proves, Jason, we are in a now world. What have you done for me now business? And it's unfortunate. Twitter, social media has created this anointing of the GOAT in a premature manner, and it also puts you under the guillotine in a premature manner.
JB, I don't want to hear about Twitter, people. I want to know what JB thinks. Dak Prescott is the better quarterback for the Cowboys than Cooper Rush, and last night proved that. Don't tell me about Twitter. I want to know what JB thinks.
I don't think last night proved it, and I don't believe he's the better quarterback for the Cowboys. I believe he's the better talent. I don't believe he's the better quarterback. I believe Cooper Rush is the quarterback that will do what they ask. He'll communicate. He'll do the right thing. I think the Eagles are that good. I think the Eagles would have did that to Dak Prescott as well, and only time will tell what you're going to see. I'm predicting an implosion by the Dallas Cowboys, and I predict they have a huge, huge disgruntled quarterback room by the end of the year, from the front office to management to the field. And I believe this team's going to implode. I don't believe they're good enough on offense, period. I believe their defense is good, but they're spotty. And I believe the Eagles last night exploited them in every way. And I believe the Eagles are the best team in football, followed by the Bills. And I don't believe the Cowboys can beat either one of those teams. And I don't know if Dak is the answer, but he'll obviously be the guy that you have to go with, just for the fact that he's making $140 million and he's Dak Prescott. And Jerry needs the fans to fill the stands, and that's what it's going to be. And now, unfortunately, the Opie redheaded kid.
We're saving this clip, JB.
Huh?
We're saving this clip. I'm gonna ask you about this again at Thanksgiving.
Please do.
If not
Please
next
do.
week. Well, they get to play
Dallas,
Detroit.
I believe Dallas is a worse football team with that. Hey, you want hot takes, brother? These are honest. These are honest takes. They just happen to be hot because they're truthful. They're a better team without Dak. But I understand the business, and he's going to have to play. But Dak doesn't do anything different last night.
All right.
They didn't do anything.
Let me.
Jason, you have their best tight end.
You texted me something yesterday that caught my attention. Steve Wilkes, the Carolina Panthers are struggling against the Rams. They end up booting Robbie Anderson off the sidelines and off the field. Robbie Anderson's a wide receiver. Has been in the league 7-8 years. Has had some good years. Didn't have a good year last year. Not playing that well this year. He gets into it with the wide receivers coach, and Steve Wilkes boots him off. You texted me something that I wasn't thinking at the time, but I thought it was a good point. Your immediate take was, hey, man, how come these black players struggle playing for a black coach? And so I want you to elaborate on why that thought crossed your mind, and then I'll join in.
Well, I hope you got your life jacket on because it's going to get deep. I had Zach Smith on this morning. Zach Smith recruited Robbie to college. Zach was a former wide receiver coach for Urban Meyer at Ohio State. Recruited him to Temple. Actually played under Matt Rule for a minute. Coached there. We talked about this. I asked him. Now this is two white guys having this conversation. That's only coached brothers in our profession, in our career. And we used to have a sign up on our wide receiver room: no whites allowed. We didn't want no white kids in our damn receiver room. And so we were making a joke of it, but the truth of the matter is, he said that guy you saw right there getting kicked off is exactly the guy he recruited. He said he has not changed. He said he's a cancer in the locker room. You can totally see it. I know the receiver coach that he got into it with. He played quarterback in Nebraska. He would have beat the hell out of Robbie, by the way. But the head coach stepping in, I commend him. Obviously, he's putting his stamp on the interim job and trying to change the culture and show some discipline. And I'm glad he stopped the whiteout coach and told him to back the hell up, because he's in a no-win situation. He beats the kid's butt. He's fired. If he gets beat up, he'll never coach again just out of humiliation. So you're in a no-win as a coach, right, in a player argument. So I'm glad the coach stepped in and did that. Here's the deal. Like, we all talked about it. I talked to Marcellus Wiley last night about it as well. Like, we grew up in the hood, in the inner city, and me having 200 kids on my roster every year in Independence on the show, 199 of them being black. I used to talk to them about this all the time, and they used to come to me like, Coach, we didn't have anyone tell us the truth in our home. We never told us to shut the hell up, and this is the way it's going to happen in real life. When you hit the real world and be late to your job, and how you're going to be fired, probably by a guy with my skin tone. So he's like, we've never been told these things, Coach. So when you tell us, it resonates. And I go, okay, so why do you talk back to your fellow black coaches? He's like, Coach, these are players telling me. Now, one of them is a coach at BYU, by the way. And he tells me, this is a guy I MF'd the first day meeting him because he tried to give me some nickname. And I'm like, no, we're not doing nicknames. And I went off on him, and he appreciates it to this day. And he's like, now he's at all Mormon school at BYU. Go figure, right? So he's like, JB, he's like, Coach, I'm going to tell you honestly. He goes, we know you're genuine, A, but B, they're our homies. They want to be our boys. They want to be our homies. They don't tell us the real. They kiss our butt and whisper sweet nothings to us and tell us what we want to hear, not what we need to hear. And when we look at a white coach, we look at him as, you know, this guy that has this no coddle persona, that he's not going to coddle us. He's going to tell us the truth, and we're going to buy in. And it's just unfortunate. It's a huge social issue in my opinion, but we're seeing it every day because I see it every day in LA, Jason. I'm seeing young black kids rob old black ladies right here in Rodeo Drive, right on the street in person. And I'm sitting here thinking, where's LeBron? Where's all these cats that coming out saying, why are we having black on black crime like we are? But see, nobody comes out. But I'm the one in the streets doing it with black kids. But nobody will give me that. They'll just talk crap about me because I bashed Lamar Jackson. So the problem is we have a disrespect for each other. And I say we because I grew up I'm from Compton. So like I'm the only one of my skin tone growing up where I did. So having said that, I know what both sides are and I'm seeing it. And it's like, oh, why are we disrespecting each other but you'll respect me, you don't know. Quote unquote, you don't know these coaches. Why don't we see Belichick ever getting into that? Why don't we see Saban ever getting into it with a kid like that? And that's the problem. We see this every single day on national TV, a black player getting into it with a black coach. Vernon Davis, Mike Singletary, huge blow up. My guys brought it up to me this morning. When have you ever seen that? I've seen it all. What do you mean? I've seen it forever. And so you can blame the coach, you can blame the player, whatever. Somewhere that's missing. Somewhere it's failed this kid, whether it's at the house, parentally, or socially. The kids are being failed at an all-time high, and no one cares because if they did, you would see LeBron out here on the front line. You would see Oprah Winfrey. You would see these people that you just don't see.
So when you texted that to me and listened to your explanation, the thing I texted you last night, I'll restate it again. I talk about it on the show all the time. Black culture is dominated by the matriarchy. Everything is about the woman. The woman, the woman, the woman. She's worshipped. She's a goddess. She's the smartest thing on earth. And what we don't realize is how much that undermines the black man and his role as a leadership and an authority figure. And so these players don't have respect for black men. And again, everybody wants to talk about NFL hiring and how come we don't have more black head coaches and blah, blah. No one wants to talk about the black players aren't in support of black coaches. It never crossed Robbie Anderson's mind of like, hey man, Steve Wilkes is getting his second shot here. Let me hop on board and do everything I can to make sure that Steve Wilkes is successful. Never crosses his mind. We want white people and the white media to support Steve Wilkes. We don't want black players to support Steve Wilkes. And it's because, again, the black man has been put in this position that we're irrelevant and we should take a back seat behind the black woman, and it spills out in our young people and their mentality. And so we don't support each other. And anytime there is any black man that tries to step up and do any type of patriarchal, authentic male leadership, that guy is getting shot down in this culture. And he's going to get shot down by progressive white liberals, and he's certainly going to get shot down by black people. And I've seen it a million times in my career. I see it in sports. I see it everywhere. We're so dominated by the matriarchy and have so little respect for black men and don't even think that we should be in support of any of that's white people's job to support him. Let Christian McCaffrey support Steve Wilkes. Robbie Anderson is going to do Robbie Anderson. And this should all be part of a discussion about why we're seeing so few black head coaches in the NFL, because many of them struggle for the reasons you talk about. Coaches want to be friends with the players, or the players want to be friends with the head coach. And it's just like you'll see parents of all races try to be best friends with their kids, and when they really should be the parents. and you'll see it in leadership positions. You get a job in management or something, and the next thing you want to be friends with the employees that work with you, and it's like, nah, you need to be the boss. Go get your friends someplace else. But I again seen it in every aspect of my life as an athlete, as someone that's been put in some leadership positions, in the media space. Getting black men to support black male leadership is one of the roughest tasks you'll ever see. Christian McCaffrey will have more support for Steve Wilkes than probably any black player on that roster. Hate to generalize and say that, but that is what I think.
The other issue is you got single females raising these kids, 2, 3, 4, 5 boys at one time, working 2, 3 jobs, and then they think that they can raise a boy to be a man, and they just cannot. It's not physically human. It's not humanly possible for a female to teach a boy how to become a man. And this is another reason why I believe you have more domestic violence than ever. I believe you have more, because a woman's role, she does not want to admit. Her role is not to raise the boy and turn it into a man. It is a man's job to teach that man how to treat a woman. And it's a man that can do that. And there's a lack of that. And I teach this to my kids every day. I've coached thousands, and I'm like, and they see it. My kids see it, black men. They're like, Coach, you're right, because my mom only knows certain things. And there's so many little nuances about a man and a woman's differences in this thing. And it's huge. But this is the number one problem, though. There's an old adage in coaching. You coach it or you allow it. We just continue to allow Robbie, what's his name? I don't even know. Anderson to do what he did last night and get rewarded today. We allowed it. I would have kept his butt right there and figure your life out and learn that you can't get rewarded by getting traded to arguably a better team today. The Arizona Cardinals just traded for him an hour ago. He's on the Arizona Cardinals now with Kyler Murray. So you have 3 big-time receivers that you can't get the ball to. Great trade. Now you just brought a cancer to a bunch of other cancer. And this ain't 2 negatives equal a positive type of business right here, brother. This is a bunch of cancer in one locker room. Good luck, Arizona. That trade right there probably sealed Kingsbury's fate, because guess what? You get DeAndre Hopkins back this week too. So now you got 2 alpha male wideouts who are both cancers in the locker room with a quarterback that don't know who the hell's hot and who's not. And you're expecting greatness out of nowhere through osmosis, right? Good luck with that one. Kingsbury will be fired probably by week's end. And we'll have an anarchy going on in Arizona. And this kid, Robbie, thinks he could do that from now on. The problem is, Jason, and I'll shut up, Robbie saw AB do that last year. And you know who saw Robbie do that yesterday? All the youth kids in Compton, Chicago, New York, Houston, every inner city youth football kid just saw that idiot do that and get rewarded. So I'm going to go do it too. I'm going to go be that guy at practice too. And you wonder why Youth Pop Warner's got shootings, LeGarrette Blount hitting dudes. It's a joke, man. It is the biggest joke. And these kids with these platforms like Robbie Anderson don't grasp the fact that they are mentors regardless of what they think they are or not. They are. And it ain't Charles Barkley, I'm not your mentor commercial back in the day. You are a mentor now because of these things right here. These kids have at their disposal. They saw what you did, and you just failed the black kid in the inner city community again because you won't do the right thing. You want to make it about you for clicks, retweets, and likes. And that's where we are in society right now. It's a sad thing.
JB, awesome job as always. Thank you so much. We'll play some tomorrow, and we'll see you tomorrow.